Hello, it's Amy, and I'm back again with the Journal of Emily Shore. If this is your first time coming across one of these videos, you can start with the beginning of the journal by clicking on the Emily Shore playlist that you'll find on my channel page. Today we are starting on page 208, chapter 11, the year 1837, and our first entry for today is July the 18th, 1837. Well, all is settled. We do not go to Binderton, nor anywhere in Sussex, but to the New Forest. A month, and I shall once more embrace and kiss them all. I shall feel once more at home, a feeling I have not known for almost a 12-month. I shall soon, I think, be sick of Devonshire, much as I have enjoyed myself here. But I regret to find my health going back so much. I know how it will disappoint Papa and Mamma. The effect of my cold at Bradley Woods, which certainly became a fever at Marlden, together with the heat of the weather and the state of my spirits, for I am anxious and unhappy on many accounts, will certainly account for some of it. July 31st. The last day of July, which to me has flown very quickly, is so unvaried a manner has it been spent. During its course, one event interesting to us all has taken place, namely the fixing of a new place of abode. And one event, or perhaps I should say circumstance, of consequence to me personally, which may be the beginning of what will affect my future lot in life. This is the last letter I shall receive from Woodbury. Mamma thus describes their evening party. We are all round the drawing-room table at 9 o'clock in the evening, Papa and your sisters at their foolish books, i.e. books for amusement. Mackie out, I suppose, after his moth-catching. The day has been the hottest we have had this year, the glass having been 82.5 degrees in the shade. The windows are both open, and the jessamine, that is now full of flower, perfumes the room. The limes in flower perfume all the air around them. The children say it is delightfully snug. August 4th. I am highly amused now at seeing the strong and universal interest which is taken in the elections at present pending. The election for the county is the one now proceeding, the candidates being Mr. Parker and Sir J. Buller, Conservatives, and Mr. Bulteel, a Radical. The two first are likely to succeed, and their cause is warmly espoused in this house, especially by the two youths who are continually going to the Castle Yard to ascertain the state of the poll. Aunt, says R. as they are assembling at tea, that abominable boy has been into the town, and I can't get him to tell me anything about it. Why, how's that, Will? Why, he asked me when I was reading. Well, if you did that, I think he was justified in not answering you. No, but Aunt, just listen. I said, William, have you been in town? Yes, where have you been? Elections, and what did you see? People, and that's all he would tell me. Oh, says my aunt, laughing. If he told you that, he might as well have told you all, for it must have interrupted him full as much to say, yes, elections, people. But come, I have heard it all. It is a matter of concern to us that our cousin, Lord Teignmouth, who stood for Marylebone and was thought sure of success, has failed. Another cousin, Winthrop Praed, has just come in for Aylesbury, having withdrawn from Yarmouth. Both these are Conservatives. August 5th, Saturday. On coming home, we were surprised to find our parliamentary cousin, whom I mentioned yesterday, Winthrop Praed, and we have a editor's note here. Winthrop Mackwood Praed, the distinguished poet and politician, was her father's cousin. Winthrop Praed, who had come here to vote together with his wife, to whom he has been married 2 years. He is a very clever and very agreeable man, about 35 years old, as thin as a lath and almost ghastly in countenance. His pallid forehead, haggard features, and the quick glances of his bright blue eyes are all indications, I fear, of fatal disease. He seems, alas, sinking into a consumption which his parliamentary exertions are too likely to hurry forward, if indeed he be not in one already. The profile of Winthrop's face is very like that of Lord Byron, and at times there is a sort of wildness in his look. but the usual expression of his countenance is remarkably sweet. August 7th, Monday. This day took place the chairing of the two newly elected members of South Devon, Sir John Yardbuller and Montague Edmund Parker. For I should have mentioned that on Saturday, Bulteel the Radical, finding he had no chance of success, withdrew from the contest, and we now hear that the excitement, exertion, and disappointment have made him dangerously ill. Nay, it is even reported that he is in a state of derangement. Our party went to see the chairing from Winthrop's apartments in the New London Inn. We were there at 11 o'clock, wearing the proper colours, pink and blue, which we exhibited in the shape of a pink carnation and blue convoluvius, which I'm assuming is also a flower. The chairing did not begin till after 12. I call it chairing, but I should properly have said horsing, for at Exeter the members, instead of being chaired, ride round the city in a long procession of horsemen. On this occasion the horsemen assembled first in a dense crowd before the New London Inn, threw themselves into a sort of order, and rode to the castle, where they marshalled, and then the procession began. Every window was crowded with heads and gay with banners. The streets and area were thronged with spectators, and the repeated hurrahs gave notice of their approach long before they appeared. It was a fine spectacle, though not equal to what I had expected. First came a band, then a long line of men carrying boughs of oak and flags of pink and blue with mottos of gold. Then the herald, a portly man in sky-blue dress with a brass helmet and bearing a bugle. Then the procession of horsemen, which seemed almost endless. The members were distinguished by their bare heads, their repeated bows and looks of satisfaction. When the procession had passed, all our party went back to Bearing Crescent, except me, Mrs. W. Praed having kindly offered to take me with her to hear the speeches after the election dinner. We three sat down in the inn to a quiet dinner. Presently, someone tapped at the door. It was Mr. Parker coming to call Winthrop to the dinner, where everyone was waiting. So away they went. When we had dined, Lady Frances Stevens and her daughter, Miss Bentinek, friends of the Praeds, came to offer us tickets of admission to the orchestra, where we were to look down on the electors and to tell us that it was time to come and secure good places. So away we went. We ascended the orchestra, where we had 2 front places which Lady Frances had kept for us. It was a fine sight, 400 electors seated at 4 long tables. The wine and dessert were just being brought in. I shall not assume the office of the newspaper and detail all the proceedings that took place. I presume they were all as much as usual. The chairman gave the toasts, accompanying each with a pompous and prosy speech. As the whole was a scene quite new to me, I was much amused to see the whole body of electors rise at every toast, wave their glasses in the air with united voices, fill the whole room with hurrahs. I think the most thundering cheers of all were received by the toast, Church and State, and next perhaps the Duke of Wellington. Mr. Taylor of Bishop's Tainton, a very young man, returned thanks for the army in a speech not worth hearing, which indeed may be said of all that I heard spoken, with one exception which I shall presently mention. Sir John Buller's speech was perfectly commonplace, and his delivery was very bad, a kind of measured, unvaried sing-song. Mr. Parker's was evidently learnt by heart, and was delivered in a solemn, funereal, hesitating voice, in the manner of an ill-preached sermon. Nevertheless, both were much clapped, especially when the electors were informed that they had shown their independence, and had made their own choice. At last was given Winthrop Praed. Immediately followed shouts of Praed, Praed, and a long loud hurrah. Then Sir Robert Peel and the Conservative members of the House of Commons. A toast Mrs. Praed and I had been anxiously expecting, as it was to signal for Winthrop to speak, and we knew he would far outshine all the rest. He rose when the hurrahs had ended. During the preceding time he had been sitting silent, grave, and thoughtful. To my eyes there was even a shade of melancholy across his face, an interesting countenance, as if he had secret forebodings of the results of the unseen malady within him, that malady which is so often the accompaniment of fine genius and deep feeling. But when he had risen and begun to speak, the pensive look was gone, and was succeeded by a union of intellect and animation. His eyes lighted up, and he kindled, flashed round him with bright and rapid glances. His speech was long and excellent, and his delivery ready, natural, and graceful. Both matter and manner were as different from those of the other orators as light from darkness. Sir John Buller's was full of awkward pauses between numbers of sentences. Winthrop's was spoken with perfect ease and fluency. Mr. Parker's was learnt by heart. Much of Winthrop's must have been quite unpremeditated, as it referred to what he had just heard uttered. In short, it was quite a treat to hear him, and so the electors thought. They listened far more attentively than they had previously done, and continually gave the most hearty and universal cheers. In Winthrop's speech alone there was point and wit, which frequently produced loud laughter. He wound up very cleverly, and finally sat down amid roars of deafening applause. And so we'll leave it there for today. On page 213 of the diary, Journal of Emily Shore, when her relative has just won the election and given his speech.